up, everybody? It's Toy Addict 26 here, back again. Welcome to an all-new review. And as you all know, I'm very limited in time to do toy reviews nowadays. So there's one thing that brings me back to do these reviews, and of course, it's Thundercats. And today, I've got Thundercats Ultimates Wave 3 Cheetara. All right, so here's Cheetara. The way she looks in her plastic prison. She's in the window box, standard window box that we're all used to from Super 7, that really showcases what you get with a figure. And, you know, you get a clear view here of everything you get. You've got the Locket of Lies. You've got the mirror, the magic flute, of course, her bow staff, 3 interchangeable heads, tons of extra hands in the back there, and then this flame attachment. So just like all Ultimates, you get a lot of stuff with this figure. A lot of bang for your buck. Here is a better shot of the back and the character bio. Basically, the character bio on this is reutilized from the Super 7 reaction figures. So, you know, there's some fantastic, classic, very like Boris Vallejo-ish, like painted artwork. I'm not quite sure who does this for Super 7, but it's amazing. So, you know, it's a no-brainer for Super 7 to go ahead and reuse that art to really enhance these figures by giving them these awesome character bios. So let's go ahead and open this thing up and take a look at the figure, accessories, and all that good stuff. So the figure comes in 2 separate clamshells. The upper portion includes the figure, the interchangeable heads, all of her accessories, while the second lower clamshell includes this flame effect and her interchangeable hands. So here she is outside the package, and basically you can see everything she comes with. She has basically replicated hands. So she comes with 2 closed fists in package. She has these 2 kind of grasping hands, a left and a right, that are identical. She has 2 of these. She has 2 holding hands to hold the bow staff. And then she has the running, we'll call it karate chop, or like running hands. She has a left and a right of those. So everything is replicated. No unique hands in any of the, you know, on any side. The interchangeable heads, she's got the standard head here, which we can see. Overall, I gotta say, you know, I've seen a lot of pictures of this online, but I got to tell you, you have to see this in hand to get a real feel for it. So on first impressions, I thought that this was like a shiny plastic. It still is in a certain way, mainly here in this upper torso area and the face, but everything else is a nice flat matte color. Not quite sure what happened here, but there's these 2 little shiny spots underneath her breasts. Probably some sort of factory flaw. Also, something I've been noticing, a lot of people were saying in the factory when they're putting the twist ties, they did it a little too tight, and it kind of left that embedded mark there on the torso. That's a shame. But, you know, you could barely see it from a frontal perspective. You got to really look at the side there. But anyways, going back to the head, so it's like a soft rubber. It's not a hard plastic at all. It's a soft, pliable rubber. It's matte. I could say it could be a little more matte if you want to do like some spray some spray matte on it, you know. That's something I might do to mine, but overall it looks great. The details, the eyes on mine are painted fairly well. I don't see any major flaws. I could see a slight imperfection in the symmetry of the highlights around the eyes. They're not exactly symmetrical, but these are toys. These are things that happen. You're never gonna have like absolute perfection unless like you repaint it or whatever, or they do like digital printing, and they're not quite there yet. But then you've got the running stance head, which has got the wind blown effect in the hair. Again, a very nice, pliable, soft rubber. I like the finish and the look, all the spots all over the place. I would have liked her to be more like an angry, have an angry facial expression, or like a stern expression, looking more determined for this, because this is obviously her running pose head. It's kind of a little too bland. It's almost like a replication of the regular head, but just with a different hairpiece. And then the final piece is the bonus piece that we got because of the delay in production for her. This is the glow in the dark, the call Cheetara head. And if we look at her and the standard head, they are exactly the same hairpiece. And I want to say pretty much exactly the same face as well. The only difference is that she's got the glow in the dark decal eyes. So basically you're getting a replication of the standard head with glow in the dark eyes, which is still, it's a nice little bonus that we got due to the significant delay on this figure. So then, as I mentioned with accessories, we've got the magic flute. I don't have the specific name of this flute accessory, but it is a flute. It's played through here, and the sound comes out through here. And then she has two versions of the Locket of Lies. It's funny because it's specified in the solicitations as a communicator. This is not a communicator. This is a fake treasure of Thundera that is created by Mumra, and it's called the Locket of Lies. It's cool because it has a little string, so you could hang it off her neck. And then you've got the closed Locket of Lies. Really nice sculpted details embedded. The design, very nice. Again, these are just, treasures of Thundera, bonus parts that come with a figure. You don't necessarily need them, but the fact that, Super 7 is giving you all these extras is really cool. Then you've got one of my favorite accessories that she comes with, which is the mirror. This magic mirror. This thing is awesome. It's super detailed. I love the embossed Thundercats emblem logo. The colors are really nice. And then the fact that you can actually see your reflection in this is really cool. Look at that. So it actually works. And then last but not least, pretty much is the most important thing, which is Cheetara's standard weapon, which is the staff. So you've got the regular standard staff, nice golden rod, and then you've got the miniature version, which is compressed, so you can stow it away in this part here on her gauntlet. So she's got a little groove here, and you could just basically insert the staff like so. Make sure putting it in right. I gotta pump it in. It's not cooperating with me. Maybe you gotta, there you go. Just gotta squeeze it in a little hard so it can stay in place. But it stays perfectly in place. And it looks really nice. Here's the back side of Cheetara. I don't see any major defects or paint flaws. Everything looks uniform and symmetrical. The back of the hair hangs really nice. Everything overall in terms of QC and paint on this figure are pretty spot on. with the exception of what I mentioned here, these shiny spots under the breast, and then the damage caused by the twist tie. So the last thing we want to take a look at is this big bulky thing. And, you know, originally when Super 7 was giving us updates on Cheetara and they showed a prototype, they showed this form. It was printed out in like a transparent plastic. And when I first saw this, you know, nothing was mentioned about what it was. And at first glance, what I thought this was actually like a wind effect that you would put on the ground, and Cheetara would be placed on it. It would like attach to her feet or something, and it would give that effect of her running really fast. But it turns out that I was wrong, and it is actually a fire accessory. This accessory, I would mention, is very heavy, very bulky, and unfortunately, it weighs down the staff significantly. So I don't see myself using this much. I'll probably use it as a flame effect for like a display, like if I'm doing a battle or something and want to have a flame effect in the background. But I'm definitely not going to use it on the staff the way it's meant to be used. I guess you could kind of pull this off, which I'll try in some pictures later on, where the weight will be, you know, resting on the floor or on the base and not warping your staff. So now let's go ahead and get into some details, which is let's take a look at how these accessories look on the figure, and let's take a look at, of course, the most important thing, articulation. One of the most important things for me as an action figure collector has always been articulation. Just being able to reenact those scenes in your mind and being able to pose your figures in really cool dynamic ways that reenact your favorite cartoon or a favorite moment from a cartoon. That's what I look for in my toys. And with Super 7, we've got a decent amount of articulation. We'll start off with the head. The head has a great range of movement. Considering she has the hair, the fact that it's a soft rubber and it's not completely flush with the neck, it doesn't really hinder the range of movement, which is fantastic. She can slightly look up. She can look down into her chest. She can get slight angular movements. Of course, because of the hair, she's not going to look up that much. But it works. And I love the fluidity of the movement of the neck peg. One thing that I suggested with Brian in one of our conversations was I think it would be a plus to include neck hinge pins on the necks, which would give you a lot more range in the sense of like Marvel Legends, where you could kind of bring the head down further or hinge it back. Because of that hinge, it'll give it a lot more play and a lot more range. But I'm really impressed with the range of movement on the head on Cheetara. Now, going on to the shoulders and arms, we've got the swivel hinge joint that is nice and tight and very fluid. On the elbows, we have a swivel and a hinge. At the wrists, we have a hinge and a swivel. The hinge is a horizontal hinge. I'm going to take a look and see. It looks like all the hands are horizontal. Yeah, all the hands have a horizontal hinge. So no vertical hinges here. Now, as we move down into the torso area, right under the breast and the rib cage, you've got a swivel, but it's also on a ball, so you could kind of get some slight angular movements, nothing that you really notice that are significant. One of the things that would be awesome on a figure like this would be to have an additional cut to give her an ab crunch, which is something that's absent in this figure. I can tell that the lower portion of the suit is kind of like an additional skin that's attached to an endoskeleton. So I'm not brave enough to do it, but I'm sure someone will go ahead and cut this and try to see what the body is like underneath. But I could feel like her abdominals underneath this. So this is like a thin rubber layer on top of a body. As we travel down to the legs, she can do essentially a full on split, complete full split, and this exposes the joints. I know this is a disturbing shot, but this is for articulation's sake, and I'm sure collectors want to know. She's got a ball hinge joint at the crotch area. Because of the soft rubber on the suit here, on the unitard, her leg goes up this much. However, I don't recommend you keeping the leg in this pose for a very long time because it could eventually crease, permanently crease the bottom portion here of the suit. But her leg goes up that high. And then you already saw the split. Because it's on a ball, it also allows you to move the thigh inwards and outwards. And then as we move to the knee, with the knee, there's this funky new joint, which is a swivel and then a hinge. But it's like the back of the lower portion of the leg, it kind of hits up here on the back of the upper portion of the leg, which does not allow too much of a bend. This is one particular figure that I think the engineering on the knee should have been done a little differently, just to allow her to replicate these running poses a little better. You're going to be able to put her in a running pose, but not to the extent of something that you would like and really looks like she's booking it, you know, because that's her thing. She runs really fast. She's a cheetah, basically a cheetah slash human morph, whatever. I've never heard of what the specific categorization or explanation for the Thundercats is, but they're obviously like half human, half cat. So last but not least is the ankles. On the ankles, oh, and I do want to mention there is no boot cut, unfortunately. I think a boot cut would have helped a lot for range of motion and just to give her, more articulation options. When we go into the ankle area, the ankle has a hinge joint that goes up and down fairly well. And then you've got the rocker for those angular poses. You want to spread her legs a little more and have her more dynamic pose. It keeps the foot flush with the ground. So overall, the articulation is fairly good. All the joints are nice and tight. I don't have any issues with loose joints. I don't see any discrepancies in terms of like, right arm being in the left arm or whatever, or left side. I don't see any discrepancies. Everything's nice and symmetrical. She looks great. And one of the most important things that people were concerned about was her scale. So here I have for comparison the Pumaira figure, which just recently also shipped. And even though they fixed Pumaira's height, she towers above Cheetara. So, there's definitely a significance there. I don't believe Pumaira is supposed to be taller than Cheetara. I believe they're about the same height in the cartoon. So, yeah, I can see why a lot of people are still upset about the whole Pumaira thing. But Cheetara, thankfully, core character, core team member, she is an accurate petite height. So that's fantastic. So I've covered the paint, I've covered articulation, accessories. The last thing we can do is do some size comparisons. So here is Tigra. I'm going to stand him up straight so you can see his height compared to Cheetara. And Tigra is accurately much taller than Cheetara next to her. I think the scale is spot on. She reaches, I would say, like about his nose, height of Tigra's nose. So Cheetara is, accurately scaled, and she looks great standing next to Tigra. So that's pretty much it. I think overall, I'm very satisfied with the final product. Cheetara looks great in hand. The only thing that I would say I would have changed was maybe adding more articulation in the knee to replicate those running stances. She's got tons of accessories. I would have liked to have seen some different expressions in the faces, and maybe perhaps doing something to make the hair look a little more matte, but that's just a personal preference thing. Just to be more uniform with the rest of the body, I think I would like her hair to be more matte instead of, this shiny rubbery material that they used. But that's pretty much it, guys. Keep a lookout in your mailboxes, parcels, wherever you get your stuff. Cheetara is shipping now. As I said, this was a review sample from Super 7, and my Big Bad Toy Store order just shipped from my pile of loot, and I'll be receiving my second Cheetara in the mail tomorrow, Saturday. Have an awesome weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Keep it locked on Toy Addict 26 for the latest toy news and reviews when I have the time. And of course, follow Thundercats Classics on Instagram for all the latest toy news and reviews for Thundercats and Super 7 Ultimates figures.